The stars shone brightly over the Nevada desert as the massive alien ship descended from the night sky. Its smooth silver surface reflected the moonlight as it landed gracefully on the prepared landing zone. Hundreds of cameras recorded the historic moment while military personnel stood at attention, their faces a mixture of awe and concern. Captain Jun Kim straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. At 35 years old, he never imagined he would be the face of humanity during first contact. Beside him, Dr. Hyun Park clutched her translator device nervously. Her years of studying theoretical alien languages were about to be put to the ultimate test. "Are you ready?" Jun asked, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Hyun nodded. "As ready as anyone can be to meet aliens." A door opened in the side of the ship, sliding upward without a sound. A ramp extended to touch the ground. The assembled crowd held their breath. Two figures emerged from the ship. The first was tall and thin with blue-gray skin that seemed to shimmer in the floodlights. 4 arms extended from its torso, and its head was larger than a human's with no visible hair. The second alien was shorter with pale green skin and only 2 arms. Both wore what appeared to be ceremonial robes with strange symbols. "I am Elder Kal of the Galactic Council." The taller alien spoke in perfect English, surprising everyone. "This is Diplomat Miri of the Elusian species." Jun stepped forward. "I am Captain Jun Kim of the United Earth Space Force. This is Dr. Hyun Park, our lead xenolinguist. On behalf of Earth, we welcome you." Elder Kal tilted his large head. "Your primitive translation won't be necessary. We have studied your broadcasts for decades." Hyun lowered her device, disappointment crossing her face. "We represent the Galactic Council, a federation of over 300 advanced species," Elder Kal continued. "We have governed the Milky Way for 50,000 of your years." "We're honored you've chosen to visit Earth," Jun said. "We hope this marks the beginning of a productive relationship between humanity and the Council." The smaller alien, Miri, smiled slightly but remained silent as Elder Kal gestured toward the nearby conference building. "Let us discuss your species status," he said flatly. Inside the conference room, world leaders joined them via secure video links. Elder Kal displayed a holographic map of the galaxy, with thousands of stars marked in different colors. The Council categorizes all species based on their technological advancement and cultural stability, Elder Kal explained. Class 1 are founding members, Class 2 are full members, Class 3 are developing worlds under observation, Class 4 are primitive pre-spaceflight worlds. Jun noticed that Earth was highlighted in orange, labeled as Class 3. "Wait," Hyun interrupted. "We've achieved faster-than-light travel in our solar system. We've colonized Mars and established bases on several moons. Surely that qualifies us beyond Class 3. Elder Kal's large eyes blinked slowly. "Your FTL experiments are crude at best. You've barely left your solar cradle. The Council has determined humans are primitive biologicals with negligible potential." The room fell silent. Miri shifted uncomfortably beside her superior. "What does Class 3 status mean for Earth?" asked the President of the United Nations. "Trade restrictions, technology quarantines, limited travel beyond your solar system," Elder Kal said. "For your own protection, of course. Many young species destroy themselves when given advanced technology. Too quickly." Jun felt anger rising in his chest but kept his voice calm. "With respect, Elder Kal, humanity has shown remarkable progress in the last century. Our adaptability and innovation are unremarkable," Elder Kal interrupted. "We have seen thousands of species like yours. Most either destroy themselves or eventually reach Council standards in a few millennia. There is nothing unique about humans." Dr. Hyun leaned forward. "But our art, our music, our diversity of cultural achievements are subjective and not considered in Council classifications," Elder Kal said dismissively. "Only measurable technological and social stability metrics matter." For hours, the humans tried to argue their case. They showed evidence of rapid technological development, philosophical achievements, and social progress. Elder Kal remained unmoved while Miri occasionally asked thoughtful questions that Kal quickly dismissed. As the meeting drew to a close, Elder Call presented a data tablet. Here's the standard Class 3 rejection package. It contains permitted technologies you may develop and prohibited areas of research. We will return in 100 years to reassess your progress. June couldn't hide his frustration anymore. So, that's it? We're just supposed to wait a century for you to decide if we're worthy? That is the Council way, Elder Call said. It has worked for 50,000 years. Your impatience is precisely why you remain classified as you are. As the aliens prepared to leave, Miri approached Hyun while Elder Call was distracted. Not all council members share Elder Call's views, she whispered, slipping a small crystal into Hyun's hand. This must remain secret. What is it? Hyun asked, quickly hiding the crystal in her pocket. Knowledge that might help humanity find its own path, Miri said before rejoining Elder Call. Outside, as the alien ship prepared for departure, the world's media captured Elder Call's final statement. The Galactic Council welcomes Earth's eventual advancement. When you have matured as a species and reached the required benchmarks, you may petition again for reconsideration. With that, the aliens boarded their ship. The vessel rose silently into the sky and vanished with a flash of light. Later that night, June and Hyun sat in a secure laboratory examining the crystal Miri had given them. Can you read it? June asked as Hyun connected it to specialized equipment. It's encoded, but... Hyun's eyes widened as data began flowing across her screen. This is incredible. These are principles of faster-than-light travel the Council uses, and notes from Miri suggesting their assessment system is fundamentally flawed. June stared at the stream of information. They told us we need centuries to advance, but with this, we could prove them wrong much sooner, Hyun finished, a smile spreading across her face. They've made a mistake underestimating humanity. As they studied the crystal's contents deep into the night, neither realized that this small act of rebellion by one alien diplomat would change the course of human history and eventually force the mighty Galactic Council to their knees. 10 years had passed since the Galactic Council's dismissal of humanity. The world had changed dramatically. What once seemed like a crushing rejection had instead sparked a revolution. Dr. Yoon Lee stood in her laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching as the test engine hummed to life. At 32, she had become the youngest person ever to lead Earth's Advanced Physics Division. Her life's work stood before her, the culmination of a decade spent unlocking the secrets of the mysterious crystal Miri had left behind. Power. Level stable, her assistant called out. Displacement field forming. Yoon nodded, her eyes fixed on the data flowing across her screens. Begin the sequence. The engine's hum deepened. A sphere of shimmering energy formed in the test chamber, distorting the light around it in ways that still amazed her after all these years of study. Displacement field at 100%, the assistant reported. Ready for the test object. Mui tapped her tablet, and a robotic arm placed a small probe into the energy field. In an instant, the probe vanished with a tiny flash of blue light. Tracking signal confirmed, another technician said excitedly. The probe has successfully displaced to the receiving station on Mars. Transit time, 0. Absolutely 0. Applause broke out across the laboratory. Yoon allowed herself a small smile. The displacement drive was no longer theoretical. It was real. And it worked on principles the Council had never imagined. Send the message to Admiral Kim, she said. Tell him the displacement drive is ready for ship integration. High above Earth, Admiral Jun Kim stood on the bridge of the EFS Defiant, Earth's first true interstellar warship. At 45, his hair now showed touches of gray at the temples, but his eyes remained as sharp and determined as ever. Message from Dr. Lee, Admiral, his communications officer reported. The displacement drive test was successful. They're ready to begin installation on the fleet. June nodded, satisfaction warming his chest. Excellent. Tell the shipyards to begin immediate preparations. He turned to the viewport, watching as Earth rotated slowly below them. The ships of Earth's defense fleet looked nothing like the elegant, standardized designs used by Council races. Human vessels were chunky, asymmetrical, and packed with redundant systems. The Council would have called them ugly and inefficient, but humans called them practical. "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted, "we're receiving a distress call from the mining operation on Ceres. They're under attack." June's satisfaction vanished instantly. "Put it on screen." The panicked face of the mining director appeared. "This is Ceres Station. We're under attack by alien vessels. They came out of nowhere. They're not responding to—" The transmission cut off abruptly. "All ships, battle stations," June ordered calmly. "Prepare for immediate response." Within hours, Earth's defensive fleet had mobilized. Long-range sensors confirmed what they feared. The attackers were Krell, a predatory species known for targeting unprotected worlds. The Council had warned about them but offered no protection for a Class 3 world. "The Krell believe we're easy prey," June told his captains during the pre-battle briefing. "They don't know what humans are capable of. Let's show them." The battle above Ceres was brief but fierce. The Krell, expecting minimal resistance from a primitive species, were shocked when Earth's ships engaged them with weapons far more advanced than they should have possessed. The human vessels moved in unpredictable patterns, their targeting systems finding weaknesses in Krell shields that even Council races struggled to exploit. Within an hour, the Krell were in retreat, leaving behind 3 destroyed vessels and 2 damaged ones. "Admiral," his tactical officer called out, "we've captured their navigation data. We know the location of their forward base." June considered this information carefully. Standard procedure for a Class 3 world would be to report the attack to the Council and request protection. But June had no intention of begging for help from those who had dismissed humanity. "Set course for the Krell base," he ordered. "It's time to send a message." 3 days later, the human fleet emerged from displacement at the edge of an asteroid belt in a nearby star system. Hidden among the rocks was a Krell forward base, a staging area for raids on unprotected worlds like Earth. The Krell never expected a counterattack, especially not from a species they considered barely spacefaring. The battle was decisive. By the time the last human ship left the system, the Krell base was nothing but floating debris. On a space station near the edge of Council space, Miri sat at her monitoring station. Now a senior official in the Council's Frontier Observation Division, she had been secretly tracking human progress for years. A junior analyst approached her desk nervously. "Ma'am, you asked to be notified of any unusual activity near Earth's solar system." Miri took the report and read it with growing interest. "A Krell raiding party destroyed? And their forward base as well?" "Yes, ma'am. The Krell are claiming it was a Council enforcement action, but our records show no Council ships in that sector." Miri smiled slightly. "Interesting. Very interesting. Keep this information between us for now." Later that night, in her private quarters, Miri reviewed all the data she had collected on human advancement. Their progress was unprecedented. In just 10 years, they had not only decoded the crystal she had given them, but had developed entirely new technologies based on its principles. The displacement drive was unlike anything the Council used. Where Council ships created artificial corridors through space, human vessels actually displaced themselves instantaneously from one point to another. No wonder they had been able to surprise the Krell so effectively. The Council made a grave error, Miri whispered to herself as she added the latest report to her secret collection. And someday soon they'll have to acknowledge it. Back on Earth, Dr. Hyun Park, now the director of Xenological Studies, was presenting her findings to the United Earth government. "The Krell attack was just the beginning," she explained to the assembled leaders. "Word is spreading through the fringes of Council space about what we did. Some non-Council species have already sent unofficial envoys requesting trading relationships." The president of the United Earth government nodded thoughtfully. "And what about the Council itself? Any response from them?" "Not officially," Hyun replied. "But our intelligence suggests they're beginning to take notice. Several Council observation posts have increased their monitoring of our system." "Let them watch," Admiral June said from his seat at the table. "In 5 more years, we'll have established colonies on 12 worlds. In 10, we'll have a fleet that no one in the galaxy can ignore." Dr. Yoon joined the conversation via holographic projection from her laboratory. The next generation displacement drive will be ready within 2 years. It will allow us to reach any point in the galaxy almost instantly. The president smiled as she looked around at Earth's brightest minds. The council gave us a century to prove ourselves worthy of their attention. I think we'll manage it in considerably less time than that. Little did they know that an unprecedented crisis was brewing near the galactic core, one that would soon force the mighty Galactic Council to come begging for humanity's help. Elder Kal stood motionless before the massive holographic display in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council. Around him, representatives from 300 advanced species watched in stunned silence as another star system vanished from the EO map. That makes 17 systems lost to the sundering in the past month alone, said the science advisor, her voice trembling. The phenomenon is spreading faster than our models predicted. At 70 years old, Kyle had risen to become Council Supreme, the highest position in galactic governance. But in all his years of service, he had never faced a crisis of this magnitude. Explain it again, he commanded, in terms that everyone here can understand. The science advisor adjusted her robes nervously. The fabric of space itself is tearing apart near the galactic core. Our FTL corridor network is collapsing. When we try to stabilize the affected areas using standard methods, the damage actually accelerates. And the cause? Asked a representative from the Volan Federation. Unknown, the advisor admitted. But our best theory is that it may be a cumulative effect of thousands of years of standard FTL travel. The corridors we've used for millennia have weakened the structure of spacetime itself. Murmurs of fear spread through the chamber. The FTL corridor network was the foundation of galactic civilization. Without it, worlds would be isolated, trade would collapse, and billions of lives in affected sectors would be lost. What about evacuation? Kal asked. Nearly impossible, the advisor replied. Our ships cannot safely navigate through the affected regions. The corridors are becoming unpredictable. 3 evacuation fleets have already been lost. As the chamber erupted in panicked discussion, Miri approached Kal's podium. Now a senior diplomatic advisor, she had earned his trust over the years, though she still kept her interest in humanity a carefully guarded secret. Supreme Kal, she said quietly, I believe there may be a solution we haven't considered. I'm open to any suggestions at this point, Kal replied. The humans, Miri said simply. Kal blinked in surprise. The Earth species, what could those primitives possibly offer in this situation? They're not as primitive as we once thought, Miri explained. Our monitoring reports show they've developed a completely different approach to faster-than-light travel. They don't use the corridor network at all. Their displacement drive works on different principles entirely. Even if that's true, why would they help us? Kal asked. We classified them as Class 3, and all but dismissed them from galactic affairs. Miri smiled diplomatically. We could frame it as an opportunity for them to earn consideration for council membership. Their help with this crisis would certainly qualify them for advancement. Kal considered this for a long moment. His personal pride warred with his duty to the council. Finally, duty 1. Prepare a diplomatic vessel, he ordered. We will visit Earth ourselves. 2 weeks later, the council ship emerged from FTL at the edge of the Sol system. What they found shocked them to their core. Earth's solar system was bustling with activity. Massive space stations orbited several planets. Shipyards larger than some council facilities produced vessels of unusual but clearly advanced design. Sensor scans detected energy signatures far beyond what a Class 3 civilization should possess. As they approached Earth orbit, they were met by a patrol of human warships. The ships were smaller than council vessels but radiated power that the council scanners could barely comprehend. Council vessel, came the transmission. This is Captain Tay of the Earth Defense Fleet. State your business in Earth Alliance territory. Earth Alliance? Kal whispered to Miri. They've formed an alliance? With whom? With themselves, it seems, Miri replied, studying the scanner data. Their colonies, their outposts, they've united under one banner. Kal composed himself and activated the communication system. This is Elder Kal, Council Supreme. We request an audience with your leadership on a matter of grave importance to the galaxy. There was a pause before the reply came. Proceed to the following coordinates. You will be escorted. As their ship descended toward a massive complex in what was once called Geneva, Kal and Miri observed the transformed Earth. Clean cities sprawled across the landscape, connected by high-speed transport systems. Energy fields shimmered around major population centers. It was nothing like the developing world they had visited 15 years ago. They were led into a grand meeting chamber where Earth's leaders awaited them. To Kal's surprise, he recognized Admiral June Kim from their first meeting, now older, but with an unmistakable aura of authority. "Welcome to Earth, Elder Kal," June said formally. "Or should I say Council Supreme Kal? Congratulations on your promotion." "Thank you, Admiral Kim," Kal replied. "President Kim, actually," June corrected him. "I now serve as president of the Earth Alliance." Kal nodded, trying to hide his discomfort. "Allow me to introduce Senior Advisor Miri, whom you may remember from our previous visit." Miri stepped forward, meeting the human leader's eyes. Something unspoken passed between them, a mutual recognition that both knew more than they were saying. "What brings the Council Supreme himself to our humble Class 3 world?" June asked, a slight edge to his voice. "A crisis threatens the entire galaxy," Kal said, activating a holographic display of the Sundering. "We call it the Sundering. The fabric of space is tearing apart near the galactic core, collapsing our FTL corridor network. Billions of lives are at risk." Dr. Yoon Lee stepped forward, studying the hologram with keen interest. "Your FTL technology is causing this," she said. It wasn't a question. Kal's eyes widened. "How could you possibly know that?" "Because our displacement drive works on completely different principles," Yoon explained. "We don't create corridors through space-time. We fold space around the ship instead, leaving no lasting impact on the fabric of reality." Dr. Hyun Park joined them, looking at Miri with knowing eyes. "Your corridor method has been weakening space-time for thousands of years. The damage has finally reached a critical point." "We've come to propose an arrangement," Kal said carefully. "Your assistance with this crisis would certainly qualify Earth for advancement in Council status." June exchanged glances with his advisors, then smiled thinly. "Elder Kal, look around you. Do we seem like we're still waiting for the Council's approval? In the 15 years since your visit, we've established colonies on 12 worlds. We've formed trading relationships with 17 non-Council species. We've developed technologies that your scientists haven't even imagined yet. What President Kim means," Hyun said more diplomatically, "is that we're no longer interested in earning Council status under your current classification system." "Then what do you want?" Kyle asked, a note of desperation entering his voice for the first time. "Full Council membership," June said firmly. "Equal standing with founding races, and the lifting of all technology restrictions and quarantines on human worlds and our allies." "That's unprecedented," Kyle protested. No species has ever been asked to save the Council from a disaster of its own making, uninterrupted. "Our terms are reasonable given the circumstances." Miri stepped forward. "The Council will agree to your terms," she said before Kyle could respond. Kyle stared at her in shock, but seeing the determination in her eyes and remembering the billions of lives at stake, he reluctantly nodded. "Very well," he said. "The Galactic Council accepts your terms. Now will you help us?" June extended his hand in the human custom of agreement. "We will help you, Elder Kal, not because we seek power or recognition, but because saving lives is the right thing to do." As Kal took the human's hand, he couldn't help but wonder if the Council had made a terrible mistake in dismissing humanity all those years ago. And in the back of his mind grew the unsettling question of what other surprises these unpredictable humans might have in store. The massive command center beneath Geneva hummed with activity. Humans worked alongside Council representatives, their efforts focused on the giant holographic display of the galaxy at the room's center. Red zones marked the spreading sundering, while blue lines showed the planned intervention points. Admiral Min Song stood at the central planning table, her keen eyes studying the tactical display. At 40 years old, she was Earth's most decorated fleet commander, known for her brilliant strategies and calm under pressure. Today, she would lead the most important mission in human history. The displacement drive has been installed on the Council support vessels, a technician reported, but their crews are still struggling to adapt to the new systems. Min nodded. Have our engineers run another training session. The Council ships must be ready within 12 hours. Dr. Hyun Park approached with a group of Council scientists, their expressions a mixture of awe and discomfort. Even after weeks of collaboration, many Council species found human methods disturbing. Admiral, we've completed the new translation protocols, Hyun said. All ships will now be able to communicate seamlessly. Thank you, Doctor, Min replied. Any word from Dr. Lee's team? Hyun's expression grew serious. They've finished their analysis. The sundering is definitely caused by accumulated damage from Council FTL methods. Thousands of years of creating artificial corridors has weakened the fabric of space-time. When these corridors collapse, they create cascading failures. One of the Council scientists stepped forward, his tall frame stiff with formal dignity. Our methods have served us for 50 millennia. It is difficult to accept that they are fundamentally flawed. Min smiled diplomatically. Not flawed, just different from our approach. The displacement drive doesn't create corridors at all. It folds space around the ship, leaving no lasting impact, which is why only your technology can stabilize the affected regions, the scientist admitted reluctantly. President Jun Kim entered the command center with Elder Kale at his side. The room fell silent as the two leaders approached the central table. Admiral Song, Jun said, is the fleet ready for deployment? Min straightened to attention. Yes, Mr. President. 20 human vessels and 15 modified Council ships, all equipped with the stabilization array Dr. Lee designed. Jun turned to Elder Kale. The joint fleet will deploy to the critical failure points along the Sundering's expansion wave. If Dr. Lee's calculations are correct, we can halt the progression and begin healing the damaged sectors. Kale nodded, solemnly. The Council has approved the mission parameters. I will accompany the fleet on my personal vessel to observe the operation. Min raised an eyebrow in surprise. With respect, Elder Kale, the mission zone will be extremely dangerous. All the more reason for me to witness it personally, Kale replied. The Council must understand exactly what happens. 2 hours later, the joint Human Council fleet gathered, in orbit around Earth. The sleek Council vessels looked oddly organic next to the more angular human ships. At the center of the formation was Min's flagship, the EFS Horizon, the most advanced vessel humans had ever built. On the bridge, Min addressed her crew and, through the communication network, the entire fleet. Today we face a threat unlike any the galaxy has ever known, she said, her voice steady and confident. But today is also an opportunity to show what happens when different species work together, instead of measuring each other by arbitrary standards. Each of you has been chosen for your skill, your adaptability, and your courage. I have complete faith in all of you. With that, she gave the command to engage the displacement drives. One by one, the ships vanished in flashes of blue-white light, instantly traversing distances that would have taken Council ships days to cross using their corridor method. The fleet reappeared at the edge of the sundering zone. The view through the ship's sensors was both beautiful and terrifying. The very fabric of space rippled like water, stars distorted through the twisted reality. Energy discharges larger than entire planets arced through the void. Begin scanning the distortion patterns, Min ordered. Deploy sensor probes to map the fracture lines. The operation proceeded according to plan at first. The human ships, more maneuverable than their Council counterparts, darted through the danger zones gathering critical data. The Council vessels hung back, using their powerful sensors to analyze the wider patterns of the sundering. On the Horizon's bridge, Dr. Yun Lee worked feverishly at her station, processing the incoming data. The damage is worse than we thought, she reported, but the pattern is becoming clear. If we position stabilization arrays at these 7 points, We should be able to halt the expansion. Min relayed the coordinates to the fleet. All ships, move to your designated positions. Prepare to activate stabilization arrays on my mark. As the ships moved into formation, a sudden energy surge rippled through the area. Alarms blared across the bridge. Spatial collapse forming, a sensor officer shouted, directly in the path of Elder Kal's vessel. Min watched in horror as Kal's ship was caught in a rapidly forming distortion. The Council vessel's shields flared against the energy discharges, but they were clearly failing. They'll be torn apart in minutes, Yoon said, her voice tight with tension. Min made her decision instantly. Horizon will intercept. Prepare for emergency displacement. Admiral, the risk is worth taking, Min interrupted. Execute now. The Horizon vanished and reappeared directly alongside Kal's stricken vessel. The distortion immediately began attacking the human ship as well, energy tendrils lashing against its shields. Extend our displacement field around their vessel, Min ordered. Prepare for tandem jump on my mark. Field extended, the engineer reported. But our drive is struggling to encompass both ships. We have maybe 30 seconds before system failure. Min opened a channel to Kayal's ship. Elder Kal, we're going to jump both vessels out together. Shut down all your systems immediately to reduce the power drain on our field. Through the view screen, she saw Kal's shocked expression as he realized what they were attempting. Without hesitation, he gave the order to his crew. Mark. Min commanded. The Horizon's engine screamed in protest as the displacement drive activated, folding space around both vessels. For a terrifying moment, it seemed the drive would fail. Then, with a violent lurch, both ships vanished from the collapsing spatial distortion. They reappeared at the designated fallback point, the Horizon systems flashing red warnings across every console. Drive at critical levels, the engineer reported. But holding. Min let out the breath she'd been holding. Get damage control teams to stabilize the drive and establish communication with Elder Kal's vessel. When Kal's face appeared on the view screen, his expression was unlike anything Min had ever seen on a council elder. Gone was the aloof superiority, replaced by raw emotion. You risked your ship and crew to save us, he said. Why? Min looked at him steadily. Because that's what humans do, Elder Kal. We don't leave people to die regardless of our past differences. Before Kyle could respond, Dr. Un hurried to Min's side. Admiral, I've analyzed the data we collected during the rescue. The spatial collapse that nearly destroyed Elder Kal's ship has revealed something crucial about the sundering. Go on, Min said. It's confirmed my theory. Only our displacement drive technology can heal the damaged areas. Council FTL methods would just make things worse. Yoon looked at Kal through the view screen. Elder Kal, your entire civilization's future depends on human technology now. The weight of that statement hung in the air between them. Then, to everyone's surprise, Kal bowed his head in a gesture of profound respect. Then it seems, he said quietly, that the Council has made the greatest error in its 50,000-year history. As the rest of the fleet regrouped and the mission continued, the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted fundamentally and irrevocably. The crisis would be solved, but the Galactic Council would never be the same again. 1 year after the Sundering Crisis, Earth looked more beautiful than ever from orbit. The blue-green planet sparkled beneath the modified defense shield that now protected it, a blend of human innovation and Council technology that symbolized the new era of cooperation. In the Grand Plaza outside Geneva, an enormous crystalline structure had been built specifically for today's ceremony. Its design incorporated architectural elements from all Council member species, as well as distinctive human touches. The result was unlike anything seen before in the galaxy, much like the new relationship it celebrated. Inside, representatives from all 300 Council species had gathered. It was unprecedented. Never before had the entire Council convened, in person outside their central chambers. The massive hall buzzed with the sounds of hundreds of different languages, all being seamlessly translated through the protocols Dr. Hyun Park had developed. At the center of the hall stood a circular, platform where Earth's leaders waited. President Jun Kim stood tall and dignified, flanked by Admiral Min Song, Dr. Yun Lee, and Dr. Hyun Park. They wore formal uniforms that blended traditional human designs with subtle nods to galactic styles. A hush fell over the crowd as Elder Kal entered with his entourage. The Council Supreme moved differently now. The rigid formality that had once defined him had softened. The experience of nearly dying during the Sundering Crisis and being saved by humans had changed him profoundly. "Today marks a historic moment," announced the Master of Ceremonies, "as we witness the formal integration of humanity into the Galactic Council and the acknowledgement of past errors." Kal ascended the steps to the central platform and faced President Jun. For a moment they simply looked at each other, two leaders who had first met 15 years ago under very different circumstances. "President Jun Kim," Kal began, his voice carrying throughout the hall, "I stand before you today to perform a ritual that has not been invoked in over 10,000 years of council history." Murmurs spread through the audience. Many of the younger council races had never even heard of the ancient rite of acknowledgement. "The Galactic Council acknowledges that our dismissal of humanity was our greatest error in millennia," Kal continued, his voice growing more solemn. "We judged you by standards that failed to recognize your unique potential and contributions. We placed barriers before you when we should have offered partnership." Kal then did something that shocked many in the audience. He lowered himself, slowly to one knee, a position no Council Supreme had ever taken before any other species. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I formally beg forgiveness from humanity for our arrogance and our blindness. We failed to see what you truly were, and in doing so, nearly doomed ourselves and countless billions to destruction." The hall was absolutely silent. Even the most ancient council members had never witnessed such a scene. Some appeared uncomfortable, others moved. Many of the newer council races nodded in approval. President Jun stepped forward and gently placed his hand on Kal's shoulder, a gesture of acceptance. "Rise, Elder Kal," he said warmly. "The Earth Alliance accepts your apology, with gratitude and without reservation." As Kal stood, Jun continued, "But we do not seek concessions or privileges above others. Instead, we propose a restructuring of the Council itself." He gestured, and a holographic display appeared, showing a new organizational structure for the Galactic Council. "The old hierarchical system based solely on technological advancement has proven flawed," Jun explained. "We propose a more egalitarian approach that values diverse contributions and perspectives. Technology is important, yes, but so are art, philosophy, ethics, and the unique viewpoints that different evolutionary paths provide." The display showed a circular arrangement rather than the pyramid structure that had defined the Council for millennia. "Every species has something valuable to offer," Jun said. "Our differences are not weaknesses to be ranked and classified, but strengths to be celebrated and combined." Kal studied the proposal, then nodded slowly. "The Council accepts this vision. It is time for change." He turned to the assembled representatives. "Let it be known that from this day forward, the classification system that has defined us for 50,000 years is abolished. In its place, we establish a new council of equals, where advancement and contribution are measured in many ways, not just technological might." The announcement sent waves of excitement and uncertainty through the hall. For many species, this represented a dramatic elevation in status. For others, a challenge to their long-held positions of superiority. Miri stepped forward then, her role in the day's event specially requested by both Jun and Kal. "As the one who first recognized humanity's unique potential," Kal said, "Senior Advisor Miri is hereby appointed as the primary liaison between Earth and the Council." Miri bowed deeply to both leaders. For 15 years, she had kept secret her role in providing the crystal that catalyzed humanity's rise. Now that role was publicly acknowledged and honored. Dr. Yun Lee moved to a control panel and activated a secure channel to Earth's research facilities. "As a gesture of our commitment to this new relationship," she announced, "Earth will share its displacement drive technology with all Council races, with one condition." She looked pointedly at Kal, who nodded in understanding. "The condition," Kal stated, is that the old restrictive classification system be permanently abolished, and that no species ever again be dismissed as primitive or unworthy of equal consideration. Cheers erupted from many of the younger council races, who had long chafed under the hierarchical system. As the formal ceremony concluded, Admiral Min found herself standing beside Elder Kal at one of the huge viewports, looking down at Earth. "What made you fear us so much?" Min asked quietly. "Even before you knew our true capabilities." Kal considered the question carefully. "It wasn't just your rapid advancement," he admitted. "It was your unpredictability. Other species we've encountered develop in patterns we can recognize and categorize. But humans, you create and solve problems in ways we could never imagine." "Is that a weakness or a strength?" Min asked. "Both, I suspect," Kal replied with newfound humility. But the galaxy needed that reminder, that there's always another way to see the universe. Below them, the first joint human council vessels were launching from Earth's shipyards. Their hulls bore both council insignia and human designs, symbols of the new era of cooperation. Engineers from a dozen species worked alongside humans, learning the principles of the displacement drive while sharing their own unique technologies. "What happens now?" Kyle asked, watching the ships rise toward the stars. Min smiled. "Now we explore together. Now we learn from each other. Now we build something better than either of us could build alone." As twilight fell over Geneva, the crystalline hall glowed with soft light. Representatives from hundreds of worlds, once divided by rigid hierarchies, now united in a new vision of galactic society, celebrated the beginning of a new age. And high above them, the stars themselves seemed brighter, as if acknowledging that the universe was now home to something unprecedented, a galactic community that finally recognized the value of every perspective, including the uniquely creative, chaotic, and compassionate approach of humanity. The apology had been made and accepted. The forgiveness had been granted. But more important than either was the promise of what would come next, a future where no species would ever again be dismissed as unworthy, and where the combined wisdom of countless, different minds would reach heights that none could achieve alone.